Did you feel there was a little loss of innocence in nature compared to the first film with this?
You mean, well, the idea in the movie is that humanity has betrayed, nature has betrayed, the gods have betrayed everyone in order to just construct shopping malls and parking lots. Mm. So I do believe that is a prevalent position right now.
Right. Well, there obviously is a huge clash of civilizations in this film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is happening also in our world. I mean, I think that the moment we can brand something as different or as alien and aggressive, we try and go and destroy it completely. So the movie, essentially, you know, the prince says to Hellboy, it's us or them, which Holocaust should be chosen. And so much of the world is run that way these days. Mm. It's not like, no one is asking for which diplomatic solution exists, who can relinquish power, but they ask to choose between one Holocaust or another.
Right. Right. Well, for Hellboy, there's a crisis of conscience, isn't it?
It is. It is, because the first movie allowed Hellboy to decide or will himself into being human. But the second movie asks him, are you really human or are you a monster? Where do you belong?
Right. This film seems to be, it seems to have a far more detailed and richer mythology than the first one.
It does, but it also, what I think is emotionally, the movie is more accessible. The mythology, I think the first one was pretty well constructed, the mythology, but it was not as accessible. It was more pulpish, it was far more cerebral. This mythology in this movie is more visceral, more immediate, more outlandish, more extravagant, and therefore more attractive.
Does bigger make better?
You know, in some quarters it does, and I think that in this movie, what is beautiful is we combine larger, big-scale movements, massive set pieces of action, with tiny scenes between characters, intimate scenes between characters. We do not just lean one way. We try and do both, accomplish both scopes.
Right. How difficult is that to accomplish?
The difficulty on this, everything. Every day was a challenge. Just imagine a set where all your actors are blind, or they cannot look at each other. Walking from one side of the room to another is a big effort. That was the set.
Right. It seems like Hellboy and Hancock are offering an alternative superhero to the shiny suited variety that's out there as well.
Yeah, I think that in both instances, I haven't seen Hancock, but in both instances it seems to be at least we're asking about the human aspect of a superhuman. You know, and if we can illuminate that in some way, I'll be happy.
Oh, it's nice to have the contrast.
It does, because I think that there are enough superheroes out there that feel or want to be infallible. And I want to see superheroes that are fallible.
Right. Well, in this movie, you made the villains supernatural, not human.
Yeah, but I think their point, their concern, and the way they are preoccupied about it is completely human. When they say, we are dying, the imagination is dying, the world is becoming a much colder place, I think that it's a very relatable concern.
Right. It's something that seems to preoccupy you
quite
a bit. Yeah.
It does, because I think that we are becoming more and more mundane, and we are destroying things that should be perennial by very mundane endeavors, you know?
Right. And you've spoken about how coming off Pan's Labyrinth and going into this film, that this was a primary concern of yours, and about making this kind of a statement.
Well, I felt that in a strange way, Hellboy 2 complements the thematic ideas that are in Pan's Labyrinth. Go figure. That's how insane I am.
Right.
I believe that.
Right. The relationship between Hellboy and Liz is established in this film. It's not domestic bliss.
No, because I think that the beauty of the first movie ended up with that big kiss on a fire, and it was like a happy ending on a fairy tale. And then you cut to a year later, and they're living together, and this guy doesn't pick up his socks, and everything is dirty, and somebody has to take the trash out and wash the dishes, and he doesn't want to. You know, I think that's more real.
Right.
You know, I always want to know who washes the ballsack of the bat suit. You know, who fuels the goddamn Batmobile. You know, those things. You know, I want to know those little details of the characters.
Right.
And here we learn that Hellboy is a slob.
And the arguments become quite explosive.
To say the least. But I think, you know, Alejandro González Iñárritu went to see the first movie with his wife, and he said, my wife said, see, that's like you and me. I'm fire and you're fireproof. You know, it's exactly, you know, Selma and Ron, Liz and Hellboy represent essentially male and female for anyone that has been in a relationship. You know, everyone that has been in a relationship, you know, he says, I would die for her, he says, but she also wants me to do the dishes. You know, that's the part that we don't get. It's easier for me to die for my wife and children than to do the dishes. It takes a lot more decision to take out the trash every goddamn week.
And Abe Sapien has a romantic interest in this film. That was quite comforting to see.
But it was nice that you know, contrary to Hellboy and Liz, Abe's is such a spiritual love story. He literally is connecting with her. You know, just by touching her hand, he knows more about her than Hellboy and Liz know about each other, which is fantastic. You know, I think that it's a fantasy, a romantic fantasy.
Right. We were all sort of curious about the mechanics of that relationship.
Yeah, it would not work very well. I mean, I think that Abe would say, let's jump into the tank and I will release my sperm, and then you lay your eggs. And she says, what? I don't think it would work.
Yeah, well, especially when you look at Princess Nuala, you'd think if you water her down, she'd probably evaporate or something.
How is she built, also?
Exactly.
God knows.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's plenty of robes in there.
Yeah. Was there? Did you design something specifically creepy between the siblings?
Well, there was a moment where sort of a strange relationship is suggested. Like you think the prince has a thing for his sister, you know, but nothing beyond that.
No, okay.
I just showed
just
that
the hint.
Just a hint that the prince may have wanted to play with her cubes or something, you know, with her toy car.
Right. And you're directing The Hobbit. Is that definite?
Yep.
When does that start?
It's actually Hobbitses. It's two of them.
Hobbitses.
Yeah. We have that coming up. We will start production 2010.
Okay. And back-to-back films then, obviously.
Essentially,
You're pulling a Peter Jackson then, are you?
Yeah, it's going to be... I'll be a thinner man when I come out.
As he was.
Yep. I'm going to lose a chunk of liver. Tres leches.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. Cheers.
That was two of them?
Yeah, that was...